By the way, LaVar, your guy AP, Antonio Pierce.
Yeah.
He's getting the side eye from some people that cover the NFL, the usual suspects, who think it's a little bit curious that when talking about how they're going to handle Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs moving forward and sort of what they're planning on doing, he pointed out in talking with Max Crosby recently that, you've got to cut the head off the snake when it comes to dealing with Patrick Mahomes.
So funny.
And then also pointed out that, look, we've seen this before in sports, and he made mention of the Jordan rules from back in the day, and maybe this is how their handling of Patrick Mahomes will be moving forward.
You got the Jordan rules, and I'm calling now from now on, as long as I'm here, the Patrick Mahomes rules. Mm-hmm. So you remember when Jordan was going through it with the Pistons, all those guys in the 80s before he came Michael Jordan and Air Jordan, the Pistons used to whoop his. Anytime he came to the hole, elbows, filling them, love taps. We touched them. We in the head, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I'm touching you. Mm-hmm. So I showed those guys Jordan getting his whooped.
Now, there are some people that think this is, I don't know if you want to call it a threat, but sort of an indicator that maybe we could see little Bounty Gate Part 2 maybe, take out Patrick Mahomes.
He's a Greg Williams disciple. He's a great. You want to know the funniest thing about you said Bounty Gate and said Greg Williams in our meetings was notoriously known for saying cut the head off of the snake. That was his deal. Like, he loved saying that, and he loved AP. Like, that was his on-field general. You could take it as a threat. Take it as a threat.
Isn't that what they're supposed to do?
I mean, he is the head of the snake. Take it as a threat. If you could get out there, like be clear, every single defense in the National Football League, including the Kansas City Chiefs, are trying to cut the head off of the snake. Now, if it offends you to hear a coach say it or a player say it, then, sorry, but not sorry. And he didn't say we're going to go out there and try to hurt him. He said we're going to beat his ass. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. If you can get to the quarterback, especially in this league, if you could get to the quarterback in time enough to hit him, which, by the way, Patrick Mahomes is not afraid of contact. He will get out there and run. So you're going to get opportunities to possibly hit him. You're in the AFC West. That happens to be the same division that one Patrick Mahomes is in. If you're telling me guys are going to lay down, and keep in mind, who did Antonio Pierce have success with against in the Super Bowl that he played in? It was the greatest, arguably one of the greatest top, 5 teams ever in the history of the game, the undefeated at the time New England Patriots. The dude has extensive background in understanding what it is that he's talking about and what he's embarking upon. And if you're offended by it, oh, well, because a lot of people should be excited by it. Like, you're not supposed to bow down and kiss the ring. He's a dude is a dude. You know what I mean? So you got to go out there, and he's right. You got to touch him. You got to bless that man is what I called him. I used to bless him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Max Crosby, he is one big SOB, by the way. I had a chance to meet him. Max Crosby is the type of dude. He's the prototype dude to get out there and touch him. I'm certain AP and that staff will add more guys that are aggressive in getting to the quarterback and making things uncomfortable. That's what it's going to be. I can guarantee you that.
I think even just the fact that he's saying it, I mean, he's preaching to his team. He wants to be a physical team. We saw that last year when he took over as interim. I mean, their defense was solid. And obviously, Christmas Day, they ended up taking down the Chiefs, right? Now being able to do it as the full-time head coach, dealing with them twice a year for the foreseeable future, a different challenge. But I think every single coach would agree. When you're going up against Patrick Mahomes, there's no quarterback that compares to him right now. There's some that are very, very close. But I think we'd all be lying if we didn't say he's the best quarterback on the planet as it currently stands. Now, that doesn't mean that like Josh Allen and, Joe Burrow and Aaron Rodgers and whoever else, Lamar Jackson, you want to throw into the conversation. That doesn't mean that, when they're having their best day, that they can't beat Patrick Mahomes. But more often than not, Mahomes is going to win that battle. Like, that's just what we've seen so far. That's his track record thus far. So what's the equalizer? It's physicality. Like, when a team's got more speed and maybe better skill than you do, what do? You beat them up. You slow the game down. You be the more physical team. It works that way in every single sport. Mm-hmm. Basketball's like that. Think about when Jordan could never get past the Pistons because they would beat him up every time, like he's talking about. Like, all those things are true. Even in baseball, like I remember when we used to go up against teams that, they would have a pitcher that one of the things would always get in guys' heads. Always. Big kid who threw hard, and guess what? He was a little bit erratic. No, and for real. Yeah. Like, when you'd be going up against that kid who the first one he'd throw at your head. He'd be slinging that thing at your head.
Uneasy.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, he paints the outside corner 3 pitches in a row. And you're like, dang. Like, the next at bat, same thing. Paints the outside, brushes you back off the plate, then throws it. Like the whole point, it maybe even hits you once. Like, the whole point was just to be able to get in your head a little bit with the physicality of any part of the sport. Like, that's always part of the game. So I think the fact that he's just being vocal about it and putting it out there is just trying to get into the heads of the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and everything else. And I think that's part of the mental warfare that he's talking about.
And like you guys are saying, that's really their only shot. I mean, you're not going to match quarterback for quarterback with him, so you have to rough it up a little bit. Like, you got to get a little bit dirty. And LaVar made mention of the Super Bowl against the Patriots.
They made it dirty.
Yeah, nobody was stopping that team on offense, but that D-line and that defense got after him and started touching Brady up early in that game, and next thing you know, it was a close game. Yeah.
Another thing to just take into consideration is when you're setting a tone, don't set a tone of fear. You set a tone of respect. Like, what he's saying is respect. That's like, give respect to Patrick Mahomes. But we're not going to fear you. We're not going to come into this like, we're afraid of what Patrick Mahomes is and what he's going to do to us and stuff like that. Like, set a tone. Because the worst thing you could do is have your players feeling intimidated or feeling inferior to the opponent that they're going to go up against.
Have you guys seen the Max Crosby, Patrick Mahomes mic'd up stuff? Like, that's Max Crosby's been doing this his entire career against Kansas City, where he just bumps into him. He's a nuisance. He's annoying.
He does it to everybody.
Yeah, and
didn't you see him do it to Tunga Valoa on the Hard Knocks? He does it to everybody. Yeah, I love it. I mean, he's a bully, and I love it.
Just like I think there's a big difference between this and Bountygate, though.
That's not. Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as Bountygate. I wouldn't go as far. Nobody's going to do Bounty Gates in this new NFL.
Oh, that's
Nobody's
gone?
going to do it. Yeah, that's gone.
That's a shame.
That's gone. That's gone because you'll see. Like, you gotta understand things. Like, when I played, nobody was off limits. I always tell the story.
Nobody, baby.
I'll tell you what. I was locking horns. We had a deal out on LaCharles Bentley, and I was doing my damnedest to collect that bounty. And the craziest thing was, I was like, it was literally anything went. So the play was going downfield. The play is gone. I didn't pass rush everything. The play is it's the ball's completed. It's downfield. I was rolling LaCharles' ass up. I mean, hitting him from behind. He's on the ground. I was still hitting him. Like,
you drove the Bentley.
Oh, I was driving him.
Yeah.
I was driving, and that's a big, strong one right there. I wasn't really getting him when he was in front of me. I had to, creep up on him, ninja style.
He was one of those guys who got was it the staph infection outbreak?
Yeah, that's the only thing. Otherwise, he would have been like most elite in the game. I mean, you want to talk about hitting a brick wall. That dude was good, man.
He might be the strongest player I ever remember being around and seeing. And even after he dealt with staph and that had torn up his knee, I watched him, and like when he did the conditioning test and everything else, he was an unbelievable specimen.
He was a freak. Yeah, he was a freak. He's still a freak to this day.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm talking super freak like Rick James,
Ripped
like
to the gills.
To the gills, dog.
To the gills.
To the gills. Shouts out to LaCharles. Not
What
to
up,
use him as an
LaCharles?
example, but I'm just saying, like, you can't do like you do that now, it's a flag. Next thing you know, you're kicked out. You can't execute a bounty gate without getting caught. You'd get caught in today's league. The things that you did, you get caught. Like driving the guy into the ground. Like you get flags. You get flagged for it. You get like, you know, it's just not. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's harder to execute jacking like intentionally jacking somebody up in the game. So
Yeah.
Bounty Gate is dead and gone. That's retired.
No, it was fun while it lasted.
I ain't gonna lie.